What's going on, guys? It's Ben here, and today I'm going to be doing a video centered around Bill Walton, a guy who has been acclaimed by many people in the media. He's on the NBA's all-time top 50 players list. He has an MVP. He is a Finals MVP. He's won a championship, won two championships actually. He's been the sixth man of the year before in the NBA. Basically, I'm going to be breaking down his career and essentially why I think he's severely overrated and why he gets way too much credit. So, for this video, I am not going to be looking at Bill Walton's college career. I'm only going to be focusing on his NBA career. I do know that he is potentially like the best college basketball player of all time, but this video we're really only going to be looking at the NBA because he is considered a great NBA player by a lot of people, but I essentially don't agree with this. I think uh, that basically he gets a lot of credit based on what people thought he could be if he wasn't injured instead of what he is. So to be clear, just some basics about Bill Walton. He played in 10 seasons in the NBA, from 74 to 87, missing 3 full seasons with injuries in between. So as you can tell, he's a very injury-prone player, and that's what I mean by people saying like they project to what he would have been without injuries. Is that injuries significantly derailed his career. And here's the fun fact: Bill Walton only played 80 games in an NBA season one time. His previous high before that was 67, and then before that 65, and then besides that, no other seasons where he played over 60 games in a season, which is almost astonishing. He only had, okay, I'm gonna say over 60 games is essentially a healthy season. He only had 3 healthy seasons as an NBA player, which is really amazing when you think about it because he's a guy who people consider an NBA Hall of Famer and a 50 greatest players of all time. But he only had 3 healthy seasons when he was playing, and he missed 3 full seasons due to injury. And besides that, 13 years really isn't even that long of a career besides that. Obviously, due to injuries is why he had a short career, but still. Okay, so besides this, he gets a lot of credit for being the main man on the finals team he was on in 1977. Um, Now, while I do agree that he was a very good player on this team, I do think that he had a good amount of help as well. Okay, so to be fair, a lot of help may be stretching it a little bit, but he did have help. Uh, what most people don't realize about Bill Walton is that he wasn't even a leading scorer on that team. The leading scorer was actually Maurice Lucas, who was averaging around 20 points a game and 11 rebounds. In that season where they won the championship, Bill Walton, let's see here, his stats for that 76 to 77 season, they were not about roughly 19 points a game and 14 rebounds and 3 blocks a game. And so he won the MVP in that season. Uh, you can't really argue with it. It's a really solid stat line. He also shot 53% from the field. Free throws, he did okay, roughly 70%. Four assists a game, 1 steal a game. So, about what you expect for a center, I guess. Pretty decent for assists. Um, but again, you look at this, and between 76 and 78, yes, he had 2 good seasons. In 77, he played 65 games. 78, he only played 58 games. Between the 2 seasons, he averaged around 19 points a game and like 13 and a half rebounds and was an all-star in both seasons. But he's only a 2-time all-star. I don't know what guy gets in that Hall of Fame as only a 2-time all-star. Now, I think a lot of his Hall of Fame prestige is mainly based on him being arguably the best college player of all time. But again, his NBA career is lacking in that he only had really 2 like prime seasons or 3 prime seasons, I guess I'd say. Um, let's see here. In 75 to 76, he also averaged 16 points a game, 13 rebounds, 2 blocks a game. He shot 47% from the field, so not fully at his prime yet, but that's still a good season. But interesting enough, Bill Walton only had 3 seasons where he averaged more than 15 points a game between 75 to 78. He missed 78 to 79 with injury, and then he missed 80 to 82 with injury. Um, and really, when he was on the San Diego Clippers, he was really a shell of his former self. He was averaging, let's see here, for his career with San Diego, the Clippers, he averaged 12 points a game along with 9 rebounds. That's down from his career average with Portland, which was 17 points and 14 rebounds a game. Um, and this is really interesting in that he was with San Diego for basically the prime of his career, or what would be a normal athlete's prime of their career. He was with them from ages 26 to 32, which is what you consider like the meat of a prime of his career. But he really blossomed when he was 24, 25, a little bit before most guys hit their peak, which is interesting. Um, his career stats I haven't really gone over yet, but for his career he averaged 13 points a game, 10 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 steal, 2 blocks a game, 3 turnovers a game, which is actually pretty high for a center. Um, let's see here, 52% from the field. From the free throw line, he's 66% for his career. So like decent numbers for a center, but not a Hall of Famer in my opinion. 13 points and 10 rebounds a game. That's like Nene was giving you those numbers when he was in his prime, and I don't think anybody would say that Nene is a Hall of Famer. Um, the season that he won Sixth Man of the Year, in which he was highly touted as a great sixth man, he averaged 8 points and 7 rebounds a game, um, 1 block a game. He shot 56% from the field. And that's what I'm going to get to at this point. I don't think he deserves Sixth Man of the Year. He did play 80 games, which is the most of any year in his career, but he only played 19 minutes a game, only pitched in 8 points and 7 rebounds. Um, I think he won this award more based on Boston winning 67 games and him being a big name in Bill Walton. People think like, oh, it's Bill Walton. He's a great player, but he had one of the worst seasons for any person to ever win Sixth Man of the Year, in my opinion. He was essentially on this team what Udonis Haslem was on the Big Three Miami Heat teams, like sixth man who played less than 20 minutes a night and was expected to just get a couple rebounds and get a couple putbacks off of rebounds to put in the basket. And I don't think in today's NBA anybody, or in 2012 anybody would have awarded Udonis Haslem Sixth Man of the Year. That's essentially what Bill Walton was to his team. Now, he wasn't bad by any means, but he just wasn't an outstanding player at all either. He was very average. And really, after 78 in Portland, he's a very average player. He averages 14 points in a season with the Clippers, and then 3 years later, when he's healthy again, he averages 14. Then 12, 10, 8, and 3. In his last season, he only played 10 games, um, which is rather astonishing. For a guy who played in 10 NBA seasons, 10 seasons where he played, I should say, he only played 468 games, which if you divide by 10, that means on average Bill Walton played 47 games a season. And that's not even including the seasons where he missed due to injury. If you include the 3 full seasons Bill Walton missed to injury, on average he played in 36 games per season in his 13-game career, which is astonishingly low. And honestly, uh, Bill Walton, it's kind of coincidence that they both play for Portland, but Bill Walton is like Greg Oden in a lot of ways. Greg Oden showed to have a lot of promise in his early career and just could not keep healthy. And really, by no fault of his own, he just never really materialized into what everyone thought he could have been. Looking at Greg Oden's stats adjusted per 36 minutes a night, you can see that they did have some similarities as far as being good players. If you adjust Greg Oden's stats to per 36 minutes a night, he averaged roughly like 15 points a game and 12 rebounds, which is pretty good, pretty similar. Just another example of a big man who coincidentally played for Portland, who's had a ton of injury issues And I think, but what we're missing is that Greg Oden is where he should be in history. He's forgotten essentially. Um, and I think that not that Bill Walton should be forgotten, but people should just remember uh, who he was as a player, really, because I feel like people remember him as being better than he was and more than he was. Think of how people treat Derrick Rose today. Derrick Rose was a three-time All-Star and MVP who had a ton of injury troubles and is now going to be remembered mostly as the first MVP to never make it in the Hall of Fame, um, which I think is how he probably should be remembered because he really had arguably 3 to 4 good NBA seasons, and he'll probably play like 12 to 15 years. So that being said, uh, okay, I'll say probably about 12 years for Derrick Rose is what I would guess, but really he shouldn't be a Hall of Famer, and I'm saying neither should Bill Walton based on his NBA career. Now, the Basketball Hall of Fame includes college and includes Euro League and every form of basketball, but what I'm trying to get across in this video is Bill Walton's NBA career is not Hall of Fame worthy. He could be in a college basketball Hall of Fame, but he should be nowhere near an NBA Hall of Fame. Um, like Bill Walton's in the Hall of Fame, but Chris Webber, who's a five-time All-Star and led the Kings to 60 wins in a season, isn't in the Hall of Fame. Whereas Bill Walton's best season with Portland, he led them to 49 wins. So Bill Walton has done a lot less than a lot of other people, but I think because of his presence in national media, as far as being announcing a lot of games, doing a lot of interviews, being on ESPN a lot, and having a huge personality, people kind of forget that he wasn't much of an NBA player whatsoever. Just for reference, the closest person I could find to Bill Walton's stats, his MVP season really closely matches up to Hassan Whiteside in 2016 to 17. And I know you're probably saying you're gonna say that's ridiculous, Hassan Whiteside, but yes, okay. Look at Bill Walton's MVP season. He scored 18 and a half points a game, 14 rebounds, 3 blocks, a steal, 4 assists, 53% from the field, and 69% from the line. Hassan Whiteside in his best season 2 years ago, he scored 17 points a game, so a point and a half lower, 14 rebounds a game, which is the same. He had 2 blocks a game. He had 1 assist a game, 1 steal a game. He had a little less for he had 2 turnovers a game compared to Bill Walton's 4 turnovers a game. He also shot 56% from the field, higher than Bill Walton's 53. And from the line, he was 63% compared to Bill Walton's 69. So really very comparable, very close seasons as far as production. But yet Hassan Whiteside was seen as like a good NBA center, not even close to an all-star, whereas Bill Walton was seen as an MVP. It may also speak to the weakness of the league at that time and that the NBA was a little bit washed down and devoid of like all-star, superstar talent, but still it says something. I guess my main point is, in conclusion, Bill Walton should not be remembered the way he is. I think he's a funny guy, a very likable guy. I think he was a good NBA player in his prime, but I think he's essentially a mix of Greg Oden and Hassan Whiteside and Derrick Rose. So that being said, his NBA career is nowhere near Hall of Fame worthy, and I think uh, people misremember things a lot just because of the type of guy he is now. But in reality, he's not a Hall of Famer in my book. With that being said, I'd like to thank you guys for listening to this video. And if you have anything you want to say to me, disagreeing, which I'm sure some of you might, or agreeing, let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. Hope you guys again enjoyed the video and have a good day. Bye.